Hello and welcome to my September monthly roundup and empties. I think we should be able to keep this rather concise because I did my August and July monthly roundup and empties not that long ago. It was really only like a few weeks ago, but I'm trying to get back on schedule and do these on a monthly basis because if I skip a month, then all of a sudden it's an explosion. I have too much to talk about and then we are sitting here for an hour, which I know some of you find really enjoyable, but it is a lot more footage and a lot more editing, so I would rather try and stick to a more concise monthly version of these videos. So with that said, let's just jump right into it. I'm going to start with like the makeup adjacent, beauty adjacent territory. I don't really think that I have any jewelry to talk about. Maybe I can quickly mention these beautiful dangly earrings that I got as a present from one of my friends at work. They're again handmade. She made them. She's really into these like chainy types of dangling earrings, and she made some for me and a couple of other of my colleagues. So I wanted to quickly mention them just in case you were wondering where I got these from. They are one of a kind, made especially for me. Well, she let me pick from a couple of different designs, but I picked these. I think they're beautiful, and you know, I am so lucky to have the absolute bestest friends out there. So with that said, let's talk about the first and only makeup adjacent two products actually that I would like to talk about, and those will have to be my newest Sonia G brushes. So I recently picked up two of her fundamental set brushes that were released a couple of months ago. I didn't order these on release because I was sort of waiting around for her to release the fundamental eye set as well so that I can combine the order, but it seems like there's really no, you know, plan at the time, or no really suggestion as to what the timeline of the release of the fundamental eye set will be. And with Fuday it could be tomorrow, it could be by the end of the year, or it could still be next year, and I didn't really want to wait anymore because I really wanted to pick these two up. I was eyeballing them since the day that she released them. Now one of them is not new to me, and this is this brush over here. This is the classic cheek brush, which was originally released in her little keyaki set from the holidays, I want to say 2 years ago. And I fell in love with this brush when the keyaki set was released. I travel with this brush. I think it is such a beautiful multitasker brush. It is super soft. It picks up product in the lightest, airiest way. It just allows for such like smooth and blurred application on the skin. It glides on your skin like nothing else, and it is just the absolute most beautiful, or one of the most beautiful like cheek brushes that I've ever owned in my collection. It works really well for bronzer and for blush, which is what I use it for. I'm not a huge fan for using this brush to apply highlighter, just because I like my highlighter brushes to be smaller and more precise, and we're going to get back to that in a little bit. But I love this brush for pretty much everything else that I want to do on my face, which is usually bronzer and blush. And I love the handles of these brushes. Look at this beauty. I have a really soft spot for like wooden handles, and especially like this like warmer reddish toned wood. I'm pretty sure these are walnut, and I think they are an absolute masterpiece. So I just really wanted to own another one of these brushes with this specific handle, and I've basically been using it non-stop since it got here. And the same can be said for the other brush that I received from this eye set, or that I ordered from this eye set. This is the, what is this? This is the Worker L. So this brush is quite interesting. It is new to Sonia G's line, and it is essentially, it looks quite a bit like a huge blending brush. Like if you take a classic, you know, blending eye brush, and this is one of my bigger ones here, this is from Brush, but if you take something that is a little bit more of like your classic blending eye brush, such as this one for example, also from Brush, you will see the shape of this resembles quite a bit a big blender brush, but it is just massive. So it is not something that I personally would use on my eyes. I've seen Alicia Archer do it. I don't think I can pull that off. I purchased this brush specifically to use for my highlighter because I love shapes like this for highlighter. I like that it is small, I like that it has a little bit of a taper to it, but it is also quite dense and fluffy. So I knew that a brush like this would be perfect to pick up the product on the side and then buff it with sort of like the top part of the brush. And just like with the classic cheek, it just moves on the skin in the most beautiful way. It buffs the product flawlessly on your skin, and I am in love with it. I just absolutely love the finish that you get on the skin with this brush. It is what I have used today to apply my highlighter. Not to say that you can't achieve a similar effect with other brushes, but it is just the tactile experience, the way you see the product get buffed on your skin, that gives me so much joy and why I really wanted to own this brush. And I think with that we can segue into the few makeup products that I would like to talk about this month. First and foremost, I'm going to mention again a product that I've talked about in my previous monthly roundup and empties. I probably have made your ears bleed by now because I've talked about it a lot also in my videos, but it's a monthly roundup and empties and I still continue to love it, so I am going to talk about it. And this is my Lancome Quint in the shade Bronze Absolu. I don't know what this little palette has done to me, but I am always so excited to use it. I can't wait to use it. And I have to say, it's not necessarily the metallic satin shades that I'm always excited to use. It is the two matte eyeshadows, because they are the most beautiful cream to powder formula that blurs your skin, and they apply so impeccably on the skin. They blend out so easily. I just absolutely love them. I may have mentioned this before. To me, this formula is actually quite similar to the matte formulas that are present in the Lisa Eldridge palettes, and also a little bit to the matte eyeshadows that are present in some of the Guerlain baked quads. Like if you pick up one of the Guerlain quads that has like a deeper matte looking shade, it is similar to this. The ones from Guerlain feel like clay that has been pressed into a pan. These are not as hard pressed as the ones from Guerlain. I think the ones from Guerlain are just a touch more clay-like compared to these and the Lisa Eldridge ones, but these are quite similar to the Lisa Eldridge ones. So if you enjoy that kind of formula, I think you're really going to like the ones from Lancome. If you don't, then I'm not sure what you're going to think about these. I think these are slightly easier to work with sometimes than the ones from Lisa Eldridge. I think the ones from Lisa Eldridge sometimes behave a bit like the ones from Guerlain, where you really have to build them up. But it's no surprise that the formulas are similar, because Lisa Eldridge, I think, continues to be the creative director from for Lancome makeup. And maybe just to throw it in here, because a lot of you have talked about this, I know that Lancome has released a collection with the one with the Louvre, where they have this beautiful eyeshadow palette, which seems to be basically Blitz VR type shades all in one, and one of them seems suspiciously similar to the green from the Mothership 2 Sublime palette. I am not picking that palette up, even if it ever comes to the Netherlands. To be honest, I haven't seen it yet, but I do see that limited edition things from Lancome eventually make it here, so I'm not sure if and when it's going to come. But I don't think I'm going to pick it up. I watched Charlotte's video and I've seen people swatch this palette, and as beautiful as it looks, I already have that green in the Sublime palette, and the other shades just look so tonally similar to each other that I feel like on the eye they're going to be almost indistinguishable. So as much as I love the formula, the point of this whole exercise with baked eyeshadows for me is not to go out and buy all the baked formulas out there, but for me to purchase products in that formula which really speak to me. And as much as I love the concept of this palette, I just don't think that it is something that I would get a lot of use out of, and I think it's just not as versatile as I would have liked it to be. I think it lacks a little bit of versatility. I understand why she has chosen for these specific tones. I think it's very much inspired by the Richelieu wing in the Louvre. So I get the inspiration, I get why she chose for these colors, but practically speaking, I'm a very pragmatic soul. You're getting one darkish green and a bunch of like champagne-y, peachy shades which look almost identical to each other. There are slight subtle differences, but in the end of the day, I don't think on the eye they're going to look all that different. So I just wanted to let you know that I do not plan on picking up that Lancome palette. Now, since I mentioned Lisa Eldridge, let's quickly talk about Lisa Eldridge. I got a couple of her new Seamless Glide eye pencils. I have the shades Burnt Amber, which is this beautiful warm brown shade. I also have the shade, what is this called? I also bought Renaissance Gold, which is possibly the most unique one in the whole collection, or at least unique to me because I don't own any of the Victoria Beckham ones, and it seems like Victoria Beckham offers a color which is essentially the same as this one. And last but not least, I have the shade Night Forest, which is a beautiful dark green. Now, what has my experience been with these eye pencils? I really enjoy them. I've been using them a lot since I received them. I'm actually wearing Burnt Amber on my lower lash line today, and the way I've been enjoying using them the most is what I usually do with these types of pencils, actually just in my waterline and lower lash line, blend it out a little bit, or as a smoked out wing on my upper lashes. Now, I've heard some people have issues with these smudging because they are a very creamy formula. They are the type of formula that you barely touch your skin and you already have pigment coming off your hand. For example, I am now essentially barely touching my skin, and you can see how much pigment came off in that one little swipe. So they are very, very pleasant to work with. They smudge out very easily, and I can imagine if you have extremely oily eyelids that these might smudge on you. I have moderately oily eyelids. I definitely don't have dry eyelids, and these don't really smudge on me as badly as I thought. Usually when I use really dark colors on my lower lash line here, it's where I get the most amount of smudging and creasing. And I haven't really noticed these misbehaving on me, so personally I cannot complain. I think they work really well for me. I'm really happy with the 3 colors that I got, and I'm very excited for her to widen this range a bit and to offer, for example, a blue, a purple, somewhat like more mid-tone shades, because all of these are quite dark, and I would love to see her do something that is a little bit in the more like mid-tone range. Something that I wanted to mention about these pencils though, if you are going to sharpen these, you need to use a good quality sharpener. And I'm speaking now from experience. So I really like to separate my lip liners and my eyeliners when it comes to sharpening them, because I just think that's more hygienic. However, I have a really good sharpener from Anastasia Beverly Hills, which I use with my lip liners. And I have a really, you know, crappy drugstore one from Essence to use with my eyeliners, and I've never really had an issue with my eyeliners previously when I was using the Essence one. However, the other day I went to sharpen Burnt Amber with the crappy Essence one, or it's not crappy, but you know, just like the lower quality one, and oh my gosh, it smooshed and broke the pencil so badly that for a second there I got really annoyed that these are impossible to sharpen because they're so soft. And then I thought, okay, it's not my favorite, but I am going to try sharpening it with the Anastasia Beverly Hills one that I have, which is probably of superior quality, and then I had no issues. Then it sharpened really nicely. So something to really consider if you have this formula from Lisa, that you need to use a really good quality sharpener if you don't want to basically waste your money. The final product from Lisa that I would like to talk about is another one of her liquid Lurex eyeshadows. I spoke about the 3 colors that I purchased in the summer in my previous monthly roundup and empties. I absolutely love them. I've really gotten into liquid eyeshadows, using them as toppers for my like luxury eyeshadow type formulas, and I, together with the seamless glide pencils, went back to pick up the shade Titania from Lisa Eldridge because I watched a video from Sonia here on YouTube, and I can't remember the name of her channel now. Sonia, whose channel I'm going to link in the description box below, is actually a fellow Dutch beauty YouTuber. She covers a lot of luxury makeup, but she specifically has a lot of experience, for example, with Victoria Beckham products. So if you ever need a reference for Victoria Beckham products, I highly recommend going to watch Sonia. But I watched a video from her where she was demoing the eyeshadows, the liquid Lurex eyeshadows that she bought from Lisa Eldridge. And then she demoed Titania, and my jaw basically dropped because it looked like the most beautiful, like smoky, brown, bronzy, antique, goldy type of color. So when I ordered the seamless glide pencils, I added Titania to my order, and I think I would dare to say this. I think this is my favorite out of the 4 liquid Lurex eyeshadows that I picked up. I thought my favorite would be the sage green one, the shade... My lord, I'm blanking out on names today. Anais. I thought my favorite one would be Anais, but I was wrong. I adore Titania. Titania is such an interesting color that is very difficult to describe. And Titania is basically the liquid Lurex version of Renaissance Gold, so the seamless glide pencil. Look how beautiful that is. If you are into these like smoky, antique gold types of shades, you're really going to like Titania. But together with Titania, I have discovered this new go-to look that I love to do, pairing specific products with each other. And if, by the way, you have any interest in seeing me demo this look, then you should let me know. But for now, I'm just going to like describe what I do in theory. So my favorite look to do recently, when I don't know what to do and I just want to do something a bit more like neutral and toned down, but still impactful and interesting, I will grab for the Ultrasuede brown pigment from Pat McGrath Labs. So this unfortunately was pretty limited edition. It is very, very old. Chances are that a lot of you will not have this, but grab whatever, you know, bronzy eyeshadow you have in your collection. Now the special thing about this specific bronzy eyeshadow is that it has a little bit of a green undertone to it, and it looks absolutely beautiful if you have brown eyes. I don't know what it is about this eyeshadow that really enhances brown eye color, but it is beautiful. And what I will do usually with this shade is, you can see in terms of its texture, it is nothing special. It is very soft, it looks very beautiful on the skin because it doesn't emphasize any texture. But I will usually use this as a one and done shade, so I will blend it out with something like the Jumbo Blender, for example, from Sonia G. And then I will apply something sparkly over top. And what I've been doing recently is I've been applying Titania over top of this shade, specifically like on the lid portion where I want a little bit more light. Then on the lower lashes, I will put Renaissance Gold because, look at this, doesn't that fit just perfectly with the theme? And then finally in my inner corners, I will play around a little bit with color, but my personal favorite will have to be this yellow eyeshadow here. It's one of the vibrant multichromes, pastel multichromes from Clionadh, and the name of this shade I want to say is Throne. And I have a little bit of Throne right here to almost create like a little mood board so that you can get an idea what this look is all about. I think it is absolutely beautiful. I did actually post it on Instagram a while back, so if you dig into my Instagram, you will find this look. And finally, my favorite lipstick to apply with this eye look is Flash 5 from Pat McGrath Labs. Is this Flash 5? Oh no, that's Fever Dream. Let me grab Flash 5. Okay, here we have Flash 5, which is the most beautiful, like brick warm terracotta color. And again, let's add the lipstick to our mood board. Isn't that just an absolutely beautiful combination of colors? This is my favorite new go-to look. Since we're talking about eye products, I'm going to mention the last eye product that I have for this video, which is my new Quint from Pat McGrath Labs. This is the golden one. You will find a video about it that I did very recently, which I can also link up here if you're interested to hear the full story of how I got my hands on this, because it has been long discontinued and it was actually already hard to get when it first released. The golden one is the only Quint that I didn't have from the second Star Wars collaboration between Star Wars and Pat McGrath Labs. I regretted not having it. Like I said, the full story you can hear in that video, but I really love having this color story in my collection because it is the kind of colors that I do wear a lot. Again, when I want to go for something a little bit on the warmer bronzy neutral side. I'm still playing around with this eyeshadow Quint, so I don't really have a fully formed opinion on it, but what I can tell you is, is this a very unique color story? No, it is not. I really wanted this because of the specific texture that is present in here. I just really love this new eyeshadow formula that she has introduced with the Quint. Obviously, it is very satisfying to be able to complete the trio, but this Quint is also going to be very close to my heart because it was a present from a dear friend of mine. But again, if you want to see a look with this and hear the full story, then go watch that video. And finally, we actually have only one more makeup product to talk about before we jump into the few empties that I have here, and that is one of the RMS baked blushes that I picked up recently. So these RMS blushes, which come in this packaging with this design on them, and they come in this baked formula, have been kind of all the rage over the past year or so on the internet. And when I say all the rage, they've been a favorite of Charlotte Holdcroft. And I can honestly say that Charlotte's probably influenced 90% of my purchases over the course of the last 2 years. I really enjoy her content, and I seem to identify and like enjoy a lot of the same things that she does. Our like color choices don't always align, and certainly when it comes to eyeshadows, her preferences are very different to mine. But when it comes to base products, and especially like bronzer, blush, highlighter, that kind of thing, I feel like especially in terms of formula, she seems to enjoy a lot of the same things that I do. And she's basically been drilling these RMS blushes into my brain since I want to say the summer of last year. And I was going a little bit back and forth on whether to get those, because RMS is not exactly a brand that I'm like super attracted to. I don't find them super appealing. I don't really know where to buy their products because I checked on Cult Beauty and they're not there. And eventually I ordered this one from Feel Unique, which is now the UK Sephora, but not really, because they don't really ship all the brands that are available under the Sephora range, so it's a very confusing situation. But anyway, I picked up this shade. This is the shade Maiden's Blush, and I picked it up because it is described as a cinnamon. And when you say cinnamon and you put that together with blush in the same sentence, I start physically to form drool in my mouth. So I purchased this blush because I was curious about the formula and I was very excited about this color. Now, there is definitely a cinnamon base to this color, but there is also a little bit of like a cooler toned purpley, pinky pearl going on. And I think because of that pinky, purpley, cooler toned shift that this blush has, I am a little bit unsure whether I love it. I quite like it because it is a very unique color. I literally have nothing else that is quite like this blush in my collection. I can tell you that for a fact. But I love the base color. And it is a very beautiful baked formula. It looks very smooth on the skin. It has a little bit of a shiny finish to it, so you should be aware that if you don't like shiny finishes on your cheeks, you're probably not going to like this. But when I turn my head in certain lighting, that like cooler toned pinky purple reflect can almost appear as if it puts a little bit of a gray cast against my skin, and that is the only reason that I'm a little bit doubting whether I love this blush. I really like it, but I don't know that I love it. I really enjoy using it together with the Dior bronzer that is in the really deep shade. I think the two make a really good match. Let me just show you. So this is the bronzer that I'm talking about, and let me put it next to the RMS blush so you can see that tonally I think they fit very beautifully together. So when I use these two together, I actually quite like it, and it is the blush that I'm also wearing today. So I am curious whether on camera you can also pick up a little bit of this cooler toned grayish silvery cast that is caused by the overlay of this blush. So that is the only thing that I'm a little bit unsure about. And honestly, this has everything to do with the undertones of your skin. I'm sure that on some people this is not at all going to appear the same way that it appears on me. So it's always very hard to predict with these like shifty type formulas, and also with like any type of blush how exactly it's going to come across, because I hear from a lot of people, for example, that the nude bronzer shade from Pat McGrath Labs appears orange on them. And I can tell you there isn't even a hint of orange when I apply it on my skin. On my skin it is truly just neutral. So everyone's skin and undertones will behave differently when it comes to bronzer and blush, and on me this blush is still a little bit of a question mark. We're thinking about it. And I have very few empties that I would like to share with you this month. Let's start with the only actual skincare empty that I have. This is the Keys Truly Becoming Multi-Benefit Peptide Serum. So Keys is the skincare brand by Alicia Keys. I did not know that Alicia Keys was into skincare at all, but apparently she is. And I've been getting a lot of these samples of her skincare when I make purchases from Douglas, and they are a really good size, because I think there's 5 mils in here or something of the source. Yeah, there's 5 mils in here. So if you really wanted to form an opinion on her skincare products, I think the samples that they provide are a really good size. Her skincare is a bit on the expensive side, but I also think it is really well made. The formulations are really good. This was really enjoyable. It was a pleasant texture. I'm sure that it was a good product, but I don't really have solid opinion on it, besides the fact that I don't really care for celebrity skincare brands. I like my skincare to come from people who have a deep understanding of skincare ingredients. So I don't know that I would go ahead and purchase something from Alicia Keys's line, even if I enjoyed the little samples that she provides. Anyway, let's jump to makeup remover. I think this is the first time that I'm showing this makeup remover, because ever since I had to say goodbye to my favorite chamomile cleansing oil from the Body Shop because they went ahead and discontinued it, I was on the search for something that performs equally well. I don't know that I've really found something that performs equally well. This is just okay. So this is one of the Garnier Micellar water thingies, and I was specifically looking for one which is biphase, because if you buy the ones that are really like water and you use makeup like I do and like more hardcore mascaras, the watery ones are not going to do anything for you. I can almost guarantee that. It is very gentle. If you really soak your pad, you will remove quite a bit of your makeup, even the more resistant one. But I personally like to use it in combination with their little purple like more hardcore makeup remover, which is also more expensive. I usually buy this one when it's 1+1 free, and then I have 2 bottles for approximately €4.50 each, which is actually quite affordable given that this is like half a liter. But because this doesn't always fully remove, especially like if I have something on, like the blue look that I had for my pet pairing video that I just posted this week, this would struggle a little bit. So then I would have to pull in the purpley one, which is also from Garnier, but it comes in a smaller bottle and it is much more expensive because it is much more hardcore. Then I will put just a few drops of the other one so that I have something a little bit more capable of removing really dark colors and really hardcore mascara. So this is fine, it is enjoyable. I don't know that I love it as much as I loved the one from the Body Shop, but I think the one from the Body Shop, I've put it a bit on a pedestal because I enjoyed it so much, and sometimes I think maybe it was just as good as this one actually. And my last empty is this Prep Booster from Pink Gel Lac. Now, I think I've talked previously about how I got really into gel nails last summer, so I have the whole setup now. I have the lamp, I have a bunch of colors, I have a bunch of top coats, base coats, anything you can think of that goes with gel nail polish, I probably have it. But this is something that came with the original kit that I bought, and it is essentially isopropyl alcohol and I think a couple of other things, and the whole idea is that before you apply gel nail polish you have to make sure that your nails are dry as parchment. Like there shouldn't be any oil or water over there because then stuff isn't going to really stick properly. So this is what they offer in their range for that. I've had my doubts whether I really need to purchase this because it is almost 15 euros for this bottle. I mean, it did last me for a full year, and I spilled it a few times, so it would probably have lasted a bit longer if I didn't have two left hands. But I remain unconvinced that I really need this, especially because I have just like 70% ethanol in my drawers that I low-key steal from the lab, that I use sometimes to like clean off the top coat because it can be a little bit tacky, and I have the feeling that if I were just to use my 70% ethanol from the lab it probably would do the same job. But this was the last empty that I have for this month, and I think with this we can wrap this video up. I hope that you enjoyed it. Do let me know what your favorites were for this past month. Was there something that really stood out in your collection that I need to hear about? Was there something from the things that I showed you that you really have an opinion on that you would like to share? I can't wait to hear all about it. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!